Hi, welcome back. In the previous video, we have learned about the managerial roles and the different skills, also the importance of interpersonal skills as the manager moves from one level of management to another level of management. Also, we have learned that how the activities of an average manager is different from a successful and effective manager. In this video, we are going to look towards the practical perspective of how a manager works in an organization. So in this video, we are going to focus on how the role analysis and a skill analysis is performed in an organization. We are going to look that topic through some examples as well and through its methods and techniques. There are two ways in which managers analyze the hiring process, and for that hiring, they require a specific role analysis that will tell them about the expectation of a performer and a skill analysis that will give a detailed guideline of the at-length skills which are required to perform that typical job. Let us start with understanding what is role analysis. Well, it is a process of finding out the role profiles. And what are role profiles? It basically includes the details of the role, that is the expected performance of a performer at the job. Every person who is hired in an organization is hired for a purpose, and that purpose is the task, roles and responsibilities that the person will be delegated and he is required to perform that. And to perform that, obviously, there has to be a kind of a profiling that need to be done beforehand, before the person is hired, so that the hiring can also be done on the basis in the light of that role. The role profiles will include what people are expected to achieve when carrying out their work and the competencies and skills that they require to meet while they will be performing those expectations. If we are talking about the term role, it is basically the part that a person has to play at work. The job title requires every person to perform certain tasks, and whatever will be delegated by the top level and middle level managers will be in line with that designation, with that aspect, and that focus and scope of activities will be falling into that role profile. So it will be easier for an individual to understand their role, and there will be less of the ambiguity in that case of performance. And in this way, the performance of a performer is also effective. So the better the role clarity a person has, the better is his performance. And when a role clarity is also to the higher level authorities, it will be easier for them to understand the expectation from the performer. Thus, role analysis is a very critical and important activity in the process of management functions and its performance. We are talking about the practice of role analysis in organization, and it is increasing day by day. It is also because the organizations used to rest on the concepts of job descriptions, job profiles, job analysis. When we talk about the difference between a job analysis and a role analysis, it is typically that in a job analysis, a person will be knowing about the task that he is supposed to perform, while in a role analysis, it will enhance the understanding of the expectation from a performer. Now, when you know that this is a particular task that you have to perform, but you are not aware of what are the expectations of the top officials from this performance, then it is difficult for you to elevate that performance and to bring effectiveness. So role profile is considered as a better activity to consider for a profiling of a job and a task, so that it will also tell us about the expectations from the performer. When a person is aware of that, where he can stretch his performance and where he can extend his efforts, he is better in a position to deliver that role and responsibility. Thus, role analysis is considered as a better activity as compared to a job analysis, because it will only tell us about the job, while a role analysis will tell about the performer and the expectations which are expected from a performer as well while delivering the job. So this is, we could say, an extended version of a job analysis. Now, what are the steps which are required to conduct role analysis? There are few steps which are very critical and interrelated, which starts with by obtaining the information. Now, it is the very first step, because those who are conducting role analysis must know about the context and the kind of job that they want to do a role analysis for. So if they are thinking of hiring new people, first they have to beforehand decide that what is the role that they are expecting to design. In that way, they must know about the job as well. And this can be gathered through certain kind of documents such as job descriptions, which are already available. However, they will be limited because they will be, you could say, outdated because of some reasons, because there are way of working is changing, there are new technologies that will be incorporated, so the earlier, or you could say the older job descriptions will be outdated. So that will help role analysis to be enhanced. That will also serve as a first step to understand the nature of the job. So job descriptions will be helpful, the older job descriptions will be helpful, and also the training manuals that will tell about the kind of skills which are required to perform, how the task will be operated. Those kind of instructions will be there in a training manual to perform a particular job. So when you are doing a role analysis, the first step is to know about the job and the kind of instructions or kind of steps which are required, or techniques which are required to perform that job. That starts from this step of knowing about the job. So that is the very first step, that collecting and obtaining necessary documents that will help an individual to conduct the role analysis. The second step, which is interrelated of course and very important, is about asking the managers regarding the fundamental information of the job. Now, what is the purpose of asking about a job to its managers? It will give a kind of a excellent detail related to the expectations, because when a person is delegating a task, he is not just only giving the instructions and directing about the job, he is basically in a latent form also having certain expectations that you are going to perform this job in a similar manner, and that expectations are very important to know when you are doing a role profiling. It will tell us about the concerns of the overall purpose of the role. It will tell us about the key result area, that what kind of outcomes are exactly expected, and the technical competences which are required. So it's like you are expecting a role to be performed, the task to be done, but also in a desirable manner. So that desirable manner will only be known to a person when a manager will give more detail about what he is expecting. So this particular aspect will help us to understand that how the expectations of a job can be explored, and this part can be learned from the managers who are actually delegating the job, because they will be knowing more about the detailing of the desirable manner in which the task is required to be performed. So it is not just only the task to be performed, but how effectively the task will be performed. This kind of learning from different managers will help in enhancing the analysis of the role. And the third one is asking from the role holders who are also serving the similar nature of job or the similar job in the organization. Now, what is the purpose of asking it from the people who are already performing it? Nobody knows about the job better than the one who is actually performing it. Not even the managers, because they will only tell you about the expectations, that what they expect only be known, but what is happening actually on the ground will only be known by the people who are actually performing it. So it's very important and critical step to do that role profiling, that by knowing it firsthand from the people who are actually performing that job, they will let you know about the hustles of the job which are in real. They will tell you about whether they have, what kind of resources they need. They will tell you about the real problems that happens while delivering the job, the real technical glitches that happens while they are performing the job. Let us say that a kind of a computer has been installed and you have been told to do the record keeping through those a software. But when you are using the software in actual, what kind of glitches a person faced, what kind of technical errors come, what kind of issues a person faces. For example, maybe it will be a server down, or some kind of a traffic network problem will be there, or some kind of other glitches which are there, which is not served, which is not known through the expectations asking from a manager or knowing about the basic job description. So we could say that a new perspective will be known from the people who are actually performing it. So there are three steps which are interrelated that will help us do a role profiling, which will be obtaining information about the job, asking from the managers that will reveal certain expectations to perform that job effectively, while the real people who are performing the similar job will let you know about more of the real stuff that happens when they are actually performing it, and the challenges and problems and issues will be more revealed. And when you know them beforehand, you can improve the role analysis, you can improve the skills which are further required to be learned before you hire people on that job. So if, for example, such kind of technical glitches are coming and the person who is performing the job did not know how to solve it, maybe when you are hiring the another person on that job, you will take more care of it. You must see that whether he is technically equipped or not. So that will help in further hiring of the people in an organization. So this is a very important step when you are conducting a role analysis, and this will help in hiring better candidates. Now, there could be several methods of conducting role analysis also. So, when we were doing the steps of obtaining information and asking from managers and asking from the people who are really performing it, that was a step when we were doing the role profiling. When we are talking about doing a role analysis, it will also require additional information that will be going through certain methods. Now, there are three popular methods that we could see. One of which is interviews, another is questionnaires, and the third one is observation. These are three key methods through which more information about the role could be gathered. When we talk about the interviews, we can take the interviews of the managers. Of course, at length information could be received from managers that will tell us about the feedback regarding the performers also. It does not only include about what they expect from the people, but they will also let us know about in detail that what kind of challenges that they face while delegating the task, or while delivering the instructions, or while receiving the kind of reports and the feedback or the performance of the job, and how they look back, or basically how they review the work done by the people or the task, how they are being accomplished, what are the challenges, loopholes or lacunas in this whole process of delivering and delegating the tasks, and while giving feedback, how it is being taken. So all these things are some kind of excellent detail about the expectations from a managerial perspective that could be revealed through interviews, because it is an in-depth method to collect information. It is a better way to collect information, but then there are of course challenges when we are conducting interviews. If you have not structured the questions beforehand, if you did not know what to ask, then of course it is a very time consuming process, and the time will be wasted if you have not prepared for an interview beforehand. In addition to that, the interviewer must also be able to comprehend the situation, the purpose of the conducting an interview, because if that is not done, the interview process will be a futile process. Plus it is also a very engaging process of speaking to people. So if the interviewer do not have the interviewing skills, if he do not have the ability to communicate and direct the interview in a desirable direction, then it is going to be a very lengthy, time consuming, and you could say a not so productive effort in this direction. The other better way to collect information is also questionnaires, which will give you a lot of information, because it's a simple method to collect data. It is easier approach. The questionnaires can be close-ended, it can be open-ended. When we say they are close-ended, basically the answers are somewhere suggested. So there are chances of biased responses, wherein people will not be very much interested in reading the questions, and then they will be responding in a similar manner without reading the questions, understanding the context. So these biases are also something which is a very important element when you are conducting questionnaires. So the role of the drafting of questionnaire is very important in this case. The questions should be simple, the questions should be brief, the questions, if they are close-ended, it should be easier to understand for the person, and no jargons should be used. While if we are talking about open-ended questions, it do extend the understanding, because it will give a space to understand the subjectivity of the situation from the person perspective. But then again, the person will not be interested much in revealing too much, because it is a written form of and writing in itself is a task for people. So basically these are some plus points, and you could say some minus points also of a questionnaire technique, wherein some biases can take place when we are talking about seeking responses through a questionnaire, because people do not consider it as a good activity to read long questions or you could say a large number of questions. So that is also one of the key. That if you are conducting questionnaires, the number of questions has to be less, has to be easy, and has to be convenient for a person who is responding, because after a while the person will not be much interested in giving responses, and this will become a kind of a lacuna for that whole process. The third method, which is very critical for a managerial role, is observation. Managers must have the capability to observe people around, because this will give a lot of information which is not being revealed through interviews on through questionnaires. Through observation, you can observe a lot of behavior of people and the attributes which are required, the habits which are required of people while performing a job. So observations will reveal a lot about the skills which are required, which are expected, and which must be there for a particular job. Let's assume that if it is a frontline manager job, then we could say, in addition to knowing about the technical aspects of the job, a person must be good in being polite, and also he should be not very short tempered, because if the person is not able to control his emotions, then it is going to be very difficult for him to perform a front desk job, because the people will be coming, different people will be coming, they have their own different ways to ask questions, or the scenarios will be very difficult and complex sometimes. So in that manner, the person who is at the front desk must be emotionally sound, and he must have this emotional intelligence in him. So that is a very important skill which is required to deliver that job. So in this manner, we could say that observations is a very critical source of information when we are talking about role analysis, and we are trying to understand the role and the skills required at the job. So the issues can be observed, also can be monitored, and can be understood in that manner, and a lot of information can be revealed through this process of observation, that will reveal a lot about the subjective perspective of the context and the content and the situations, because the dynamics of situation is different all the time. But in obvious way that it is also a time consuming technique. However, these three methods are key sources of information and can be used simultaneously, can be used in phases, can be used depending upon the need of the situation, that whatever kind of need it is and you want to gather data, you can adopt any of the technique or all of the techniques, depends upon the situation and availability of the people's interest and their time. That is also a very important perspective to pay attention to. There is also one role analysis technique which is developed by Ishwar Dayal and John M. Thomas in 1969. This is also one of the intervention which is designed to understand the role analysis, especially for the people who are new in a team. So it is like for new team members, it is difficult to understand what other team members' expectations are, what this new organization is all about. So when you are new in an organization, you take time to understand the environment, you take time to know the people, you take time to sensitize the environment. Slowly and gradually you become a part of a place. So this kind of technique is very helpful for team members, especially those who are new in an organization. This technique is designed to clarify the roles of top management of a new organization, especially in the context of India. This technique is particularly applicable for new teams and performed by the role occupants. Now, the role occupants are the people who are already doing that job. So, this technique is basically performed by those people who are already doing that job and performing that job and role, and they perform this technique to understand what new members, how the new members are going to be performing their roles and how they will be indulging together as a team members. Now, how this role analysis technique work? The first of the step is the focal role analysis. Now, focal role is that kind of role for which the role analysis is to be conducted. Let us say if a new person is about to be inducted in a team, it is a team of 4 people, and let's say now one more person is going to be hired for the purpose of adding to that team member. So the person who is going to be hired is the focal role, and for that the analysis has to be conducted, because when you're talking about adding a new member, that means obviously you are looking forward to those gaps which are not fulfilled by the existing members. So that is also one of the very important parameter to understand a kind of a role and job. So that is one step to understand that we are going to do an analysis of the focal role. The second one is the focal role incumbents expectations of others. Now this second step is that if a new member will be joining, now what will be his expectations or her expectations from others. This step will actually expose a new angle to the situation, wherein you are also looking at the expectation of the performer who will be a new member, and as a new member what will be the apprehensions of that person, what will be the challenges and issues of that new person related to the job, related to the context. So that is also a very new perspective to understand when we are trying to understand a situation of a role analysis. The third one is the expectations of a focal role from the other viewpoint. Now it's like the how the other members of the team, for example, will have certain expectations from this new member. So in the second step we have learned about the new members expectation, while in the third step we are also looking towards the expectations of others from this new person who will be joining the team. And the last step is obviously the preparation of the role profile. So if we look at the focal role analysis, it is basically about the kind of a task a person is expected to deliver and the expectations from his role, which can be related to skills, which can be related to abilities, which can be also related to the habits of the person who is going to perform a job and join the team. The incumbent's expectation of others is obviously about the person's expectation from others, or you could say from the older team members. And when we could say the others' expectations of the focal role, it is about how the existing members expect the new person to perform the task and to fill the gap which was not filled prior joining him of the team. And the last one is obviously the preparation of the role profile. Then we could say that we will learn this kind of process through some practical examples. So let us see it through a role analysis of a frontline manager. Now frontline managers, as I already had discussed in the previous video, that they are the lower level managers who basically deal with the supervision task of the non-managerial employees and lower level employees. They are the ones who are at the lower level in the management hierarchy, and they are sometimes also responsible for other members. However, the nature of their operations does not have too much of autonomy. So they do not make decision making too much, but their role is more supervisory in nature. So frontline managers are that kind of managers who are more engaged in delegating the task, supervising and monitoring the task, giving feedbacks and receiving reports from the shift supervisors, from the lower level managers, or from the you could say non-managerial employees. They are more engaged into the operative and the technical task in an organization. So let us understand this concept of role analysis from a frontline manager's perspective, that if we are trying to do a role analysis for a frontline manager, how it goes and what it takes and what kind of analysis is required in this context. So these inputs are also coming from a research which is conducted by Hutchinson and Purcell, and they defined managers who are responsible to higher level authorities and are placed in the lower level management hierarchy. They are the basically people who are involved in reporting to the middle level managers, and also they are seeking reporting from the lower level managers. They are the people who are more concerned and involved in the tactical operations of the task which is expected to be delivered in an organization. So the major activity which the frontline managers is engaged is the absence management. And in absence management, they are not only doing the monitoring of the absent profiling, they are also engaged in visiting the sick people. They are also engaged in calling them and asking for the reasons of long absence. They are also performing certain kind of responsibilities on behalf of management, wherein if God forbid some mishappening occurs, they may go and go for some funeral activities also. Sometimes they have to deal with their family members also, the issues related to the people who are much absent. So these kinds of activities a frontline manager is engaged into. Many a times they have to do some counseling also. So the kind of skills which they require at the front desk is basically the empathy skill, the kind of human skills, more interpersonal skills are important at this stage. Then we could say that they also have to manage some kind of operational cost. So it's like how the task is going at the operational level, how they can ensure efficiency and large scale of operations, how they can instruct people to perform their task better, a kind of wastage can be reduced, the kind of supervision role that they have to perform. They are not the people who are who are only monitoring and who are only supervising, but they are also the one who also have to demonstrate their kind of skills, technical skills or operative skills, so that the task can be performed better. They provide technical expertise also to the people who are lower in their hierarchy, and when they are supervising them, they are guiding them, they are instructing them, they are demonstrating them the how the task can be performed so that the wastage can be reduced, and also the efficiency can be achieved in performance. So these are some of the activities that we could say frontline managers also have to perform in addition to when they are performing some people management functions. Then they also have to plan certain kind of how they are allocating the work and making their daily rosters, how their duty hours are going to be changed, how the duties are going to be managed when the people are not there. Some people are there, some people are absent. If there are some kind of casual absences, how to manage that kind of situation on that very day. These are some of the important nature of operations and tasks that a frontline manager do perform. Then they also have to do some kind of a monitoring work if it is a production department. Let us say, what are the standards of a quality check, what are certain kind of safety kind of steps that the person has to take while performing a job when they are dealing with some kind of critical customers, or let us say some kind of difficult customers or clients. When they are dealing with them, how to deal with them, how to negotiate, how to speak to them. The communication skills matters a lot at this stage. When they are measuring certain kind of performance at the operational level, they must know the standards of the operation, they must know the prerequisites to understand that what are the preferable performance measurement aspects and outcomes that they are expecting from a person who is delivering the job. These are certain typical roles that a frontline manager has to perform. So when we have an idea of what kind of a job of a frontline manager is, it will be easier for us to understand that how the skills related to this job can be analyzed, and this will be very helpful in making a profile of a role for this kind of a job of a frontline manager. So when you are hiring a frontline manager, you must know that what is the nature of operations the person is expected to deliver, and on which aspect you are hiring a new person, what kind of roles you are expecting him to perform, and accordingly you can do a skill analysis for the person so that a kind of a right person can be hired for the right job. And how can we improve a frontline manager as people managers? For example, the load of the duties can be reduced. It's like if a person is engaged in multiple responsibilities, let us say he's also looking at the operations, he's also looking at the technical work, he's also engaged into some kind of a paperwork and formalities, and making some kind of profiling and all of that, that can be reduced so that he can more focus on his skills of interpersonal skills and human skills. He can learn those skills if those skills are he lacks in those skills. Maybe anger management is one of the way, time management is another skill, presentation skills, and basically how you communicate with people in complex situations, how to handle stress. So stress management kind of techniques can be learned during this performance of the job, or you could say by reducing a workload you can reduce a lot of stress of a person, and when a person is having a less of the stress, he's more able to perform his job better. So by improving the criteria, or you could say by improving the context condition, also sometimes the performance of the performer increases. Maybe, you know, when you are selecting a candidate, it is very important that you select the right candidate, and right candidate can only be selected when you have an idea of what exactly is expected from this job. So when you have an expectation of the job, when you have an expectation of the performer, obviously you will be looking for those characteristics, those abilities, those habits while the hiring process is on. So it's not only the interview. Personal interviews are basically for this reason, that it's not only that you want to know what is on the resume and what are the technical knowledge and expertise this person holds, but also what personality this person carries. Then that is why they are the personal interviews, wherein the manager also observe a lot of the candidate, that whether this person is suitable for this job or not. So that is also a very required prerequisite of a hiring process, when you are carefully focusing on the behavioral competencies which are required to perform the job. Another one is when you know the kind of strong organizational values which are related to right direction and managing people. So when the person who are in the process of hiring, when they understand their job well, that is also one of the very important step, that when you demonstrate belongingness to an organization, you are more able to replicate these kinds of values and nurture these values. This will help to foster these values into your different team members, and also the junior, those the new members who are joining the organization. So possessing strong organizational values are also very helpful to perform the tasks. So we can also see these kinds of attributes in the people we are selecting and hiring also, that how committed and how loyal they are towards, let us say, if they are coming from a previous organization, what kind of emotions that they hold for the organization. That is also very important, because emotions are a very strong parameter to understand that how the person is going to engage into the work. And when a person is emotionally engaged into a work, he is obviously going to perform better. So that is very, very important aspect to look in a person, that what kind of organizational values a person hold. The people who are selecting, if they possess these values, they are better able to foster these values into their team members by demonstrating such skills. And also when they are hiring people, they should look these values into those people also, those to whom they are selecting. Building good working relations, whether the person they are selecting also have some better interpersonal relationship with their peers, with their juniors, seniors. So that is a very important aspect, that we can improve the people's management skills in a person by observing that how well he is connected with his colleagues, with his peer, with his friends, maybe with the senior staff also, and how he deals with the junior staff as well. That is also very important to see, that how he is maintaining and developing the interpersonal relationship. Some kind of trainings which are required. So basically, if we are looking for these kinds of analysis, this is also helpful for organizations to understand the training need of people. So if your managers are not well trained, let us say, some soft skill training can be provided to them. So it does not only reveal a lot of information about the role profiling, but it also reveal a lot of information for the development programs, kind of a training program that can be designed for interpersonal skills. So such kind of trainings can enable them to enhance their performances and also to manage their activities. Skill analysis is something that determines what are the skills which are required to perform the job. This is you could say, a complementary analysis of the role analysis. This will help to elaborate the role analysis expectations into more specific skills which are required. It's like what exactly kind of skills are required for a person to deliver this job. That will give a more idea about whether the job is more technical in nature or more interpersonal in nature, what kind of crafts which are required to be performed, what kind of details of the activities that a person is going to engage into, because not every manager is performing the same task. Every manager has their own domain of responsibilities and the nature of task and operations that they deal with. Some managers are engaged in controlling and supervising and giving feedback. Some managers are involved with the people. Some managers are doing the back end operations of filing, record keeping, and doing some kind of analysis through certain kind of data that they work with. So it's like different kind of skills are required to perform different operations, and skill analysis is a kind of a at-length detailing of the skills which are required to perform and deliver a job more effectively and more efficiently. There are certain techniques that we can understand to do a better skill analysis. One of the technique is a job breakdown technique. Now, job breakdown, as its name indicates, that it is about breaking the job into small parts to understand that how the specialization can be achieved in these. It's basically about breaking the job into separate operations, where you are more able to see that what are the processes of a job, what are the minute and small tasks which are required and interrelated to perform a job. Now, this can be done through preparing a kind of a chart in which there are three columns. So basically this is a format of a job breakdown analysis, and this format is worked through a preparation of three columns. Now, what comes into these three columns? Let us say if the job is to print a notebook, let us say. So it is like, what are the steps? It is like you have to collect a paper, then you have to put it into the machine. You should know how to put certain blank papers into the printer, and how you have to operate that printing machine, how you have to then take the printouts, then how you are going to assemble those printouts together, how you're going to bind them. All these are certain steps of a job, and the job can be broken down into small pieces. So in that first stage column, you will write those different steps of the job. This will give more clarity to the person who is supervising, that whether every step is performed in a linear way, and this kind of analysis will give a kind of a better supervision, detailing to a supervisor, and he is better able to monitor that whether the person is struggling at which step, for example, and whatever step he is struggling with, it's like more better instructions can be given to him for performing that particular step, let us say. Or maybe we could say it is a better identification of a problem, that whether the problem is there or not. So this breaking down technique is very helpful to understand the operative task. It is like how the task can be broken into some small steps, so that these small steps will more clarify the process of performance, and it is easier for a performer also to deliver the role, because he knows the step number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 involved into performing the whole complete task. So that is the first step, or you could say the first column, in which you are going to write down what are the different steps of a job and in how many parts this can be broken down. So that is the first stage. In the second stage, there are certain instructions that will be written down against that particular job part. So it is like when you're talking about writing the first step or a first part of a job, how that first part is going to be performed, instructions related to you, we could say the technical instructions if it is required. Let us say if there are some safety precautions which need to be taken, if there are for example, if you have to start printing, so it is like the instructions will be that check whether the electricity supply is there, check whether there are proper number of blank pages you have inserted into the printer machine, check whether the it is switched on or not. So it is like all these technical instructions of performing that operation will be written down into the instruction column, which is the second column, and it is made against the every task in which you have broken down the job. Then in the third part, it is like any special instruction, if there are some additional instruction that has to be given. Let us say if make sure that the ventilation is proper, ensure that the temperature of a room is proper when you are using this machine. So these are some additional instructions that may be given for the safety and safe conditions of performing a job as well. So it's like there are three stage or you could say the three column format in which the job breakdown technique is performed. And in the first stage, we break down the technique into small parts, and in the second part or in the second column, we write down the instructions how to perform each of these tasks, and in the third column we write any of the additional and special instructions to follow while performing the task. So this is one of the technique to do a skill analysis. Another technique is a manual skill analysis. It basically isolates the instructional purposes of the skills and knowledge by the experienced workers, and which are basically required that how the job will actually be performed. So it is like a manual skill. The person will be doing the job It's basically a hands-on experience kind of a analysis in which the person who have to perform a job will do the job manually and will see that how he is able to perform the job better, and whoever performs the job better is obviously selected if it is a selection process. It is basically to understand and analyze the short cycle of the repetitive operations, that how this assembly task or you could say some kind of a factory work could be performed. So, some kind of similar operation. Let us say if you want to see that how fast you can load certain chunk of material from one place to another place. It is like a demonstration based skill in which you visually see that how the people are basically and physically performing this task. So it concentrates on the tricky part of the job, which is related to experienced people who are more able to perform this task, and it will be a better analysis to let the other people understand that how this kind of job should be performed. So it is like you see the people actually performing the job, and while seeing, you observe that the performer is performing it well or not. So that is basically a manual skill analysis, which we could say it's a hands-on analysis. In the third kind of technique, we see that it is a task analysis. And when we talk about a task analysis, it is basically about a kind of a behavior or you could say analysis of a behavior which is required to carry out a task, and to identify whether the critical areas, which one are the critical areas, what are the major areas in which a person, if they perform a job, will face difficulty. So it also helps a supervisor to devise better instruction manuals to perform that job. It can be applied to all nature of jobs. It's like you can do a task analysis for all types of jobs, whether they are technical, whether they are more operative, whether they are related to people's management. It is like it can be done for any type of job and any nature of job. So this is a very useful technique to do a role analysis, and it is going to help the role analysis in giving a kind of detailing about the skills which are required to perform the job. Also prepared into a standard format which is of 4 columns. Now the 4 columns which this format comprises of is, the first one, it talk about the task. It's basically about what you are supposed to be performing. So it describes each element similar to the first technique of a job breakdown that we have learned, what the task is, what the basically job is. So it's a more clear, specific uh, description of the job that the person is supposed to do. That is the task of that the person is supposed to perform at the job. The second is the level of importance. The second column talks about at how important this particular job is, or we could say the relative significance of this task in actually accomplishment of the whole goal or the outcome. So obviously there will be certain outcomes which are said that if you are going to have a better interaction with the customer, the client is going to be the customer is going to buy the product. Let us say selling of the product is the ultimate objective. Now how are you going to sell it? What are the critical elements? It is like which step is more important of this task. So that relativity of importance is also going to be specified into the second column, which is written next to the task itself. In the third one, it is the degree of difficulty will be described. It do happen when you are preparing, let us say, certain questionnaires or some kind of question papers or examination papers in which you are setting certain questions, and then you also mention against it that what nature of difficulty it is. So it is like there are categories to understand that what nature of problem it is, whether it is easy, whether it is tough, whether it is moderate. So the degree of difficulty is also mentioned against that task in addition to the relative importance to the ultimate outcome. And the fourth column will comprises of the training method. It is like some kind of instruction techniques which are required, or certain kind of prerequisites which are required to perform that job. Let us say if the task is about you're solving a tough question, let us say. So it will require certain kind of prerequisites of the basic knowledge related to that field. So these 4 columns will reveal about the importance of the task, will also reveal about its the degree of difficulty to perform that task, and also what kind of instructions are required to perform this task. So task analysis is another technique to do a skill analysis. Thus we could say that skill analysis is something that will complement the role analysis perspective, and these are certain techniques and these are certain methods which are adopted by organizations to do and perform this kind of role analysis and skill analysis that will help the job of a manager to understand what are the expectations from a role, how this role will be performed, and this will also give clarity to the performer that how this task is supposed to be performed and what is expected by the senior people or those who are delegating tasks. When you are reporting them back, you will be more comfortable, you will be more confident in performing that job, and the ultimate outcome will be served. So basically, let us summarize what we have learned today. We have learned that how practically in an organization role analysis is performed, what is the importance of role analysis, how role analysis is going to help the process of hiring and selection of a candidate, why it is important to resort to certain techniques if the task is more operative in nature, how that instruction part and how that training part is very essentially helped and served when we do a better role analysis, and skill analysis is something that complements this whole process of role analysis. In addition to this, we have also learned about the frontline manager job, what kind of nature of task he has to perform, and how his job can be improved by discussing some of the suggestions that can help the job improvement of a frontline manager. And this is the job where more of the hiring have to be done, because many of the people join the organizations at this level, and if we could see the turnover rate also, it is high at this stage of employees in an organization. People may join the organization and then after a couple of 2-3 years they switch their jobs. So if this kind of analysis is done pre-hand, the managers are also able to provide a better ecosystem for the managers so that they can sustain their jobs and they can keep contributing to the goals of an organization and can develop a better relationship with an organization, because employee loyalty is a very important phenomenon also for organizations. Thus, in this week, we have reflected on the manager's perspective, that how challenging the job of a manager is and what are the nature of operations a manager has to deal with, what are different levels of managers, what are the different management hierarchies in an organization, and how different managers work together as a team and how they can improve their jobs altogether. So, this is what performers' perspective management is all about. Thank you.